I've got a banging hunter build today for you. You're going to throw so many grenades, people are going to think you're a Starfire Protocol Warlock. Just check these grenades out, how fast I'm getting these trip mines back. And it does put out some decent damage on top of your weapon damage as well. Just look at the state of that, how many grenades you're getting back in a few seconds. I'm going to break everything down in this video, show you how to get really fast grenades, where to use them, where it's best to be used, how to use them in boss DPS situations, and the overall flow of the build, where it's extremely useful in all different types of content, like I said, for DPS and for general play. The build itself, I go back to this build every single season. I've always got it in my dim links, I've always got it in my loadout, and I've used this build in every content, master, normal, lost sectors, everything, all master stuff, legend stuff, whatever. And then on top of that, I'm also going to show you how to stack loads of weapon surges on your legs as well via fire sprites, so you can get up to 4 armor charges very easily. Now the full build is based around young Ahamkara's spine, increases Tripmine duration and the blast radius, so to stick around for a long time, and it's also increasing the blast radius for more tags. And then the bottom part of that is really important. Ability damage grants Tripmine energy, so anything from your abilities, whether it's your knife, your Tripmine and your super, all count towards that. Now the main catalyst to this build, the main glue, the ingredients are Ember of Singeing. Your class ability recharges when you scorch targets. This one is absolutely crucial for this particular build, and as long as you run it with Gambler's Dodge, whenever you dodge near an enemy, you're going to fully recharge your knife, your throwing knife. Now the knife to use, without question, is Knife Trick. It throws free and it scorches targets on hit. This is the best one, it's got the shortest cooldown. And then on top of that, obviously we've got the Tripmine that also scorches, the knife scorches, which is also going to proc the Ember of Singeing. And then on top of that, on my arms, I'm running Bolstering Detonation and Impact Induction, so we're going to get loads and loads of melee and extra class ability cooldowns as well. The other one to run is Bomber. Reduces grenade cooldown whenever you use your class ability. It all works perfectly together. Whenever you dodge, you're going to get grenade energy. Whenever you scorch, you're going to get more class ability. And then that all pairs perfectly with the bottom part of the young Ahamkara spine. Ability damage grants Tripmine damage, so it all fits perfectly together. Now here's a quick example of it working. I'm going to get rid of my Tripmine, I'm going to get rid of my knife. You'll notice when I dodge, I get my knife back straight away. I'm going to throw that knife and I've got my Tripmine. That is everything working together. The young Ahamkara's spine exotic trait and all my fragments that we've just talked about, and a couple of the mods all kicking in, working perfectly together. So that's mainly the loop. As long as you dodge near the enemy to get your knife back, hit them with that knife, hit them with your Tripmine, you're scorching them, you're proccing your Ember of Singeing, so you're getting loads of class ability back. It all works perfectly together. Like I said, I just wanted to get that sort of nailed. That is the catalyst of the build. You're going to see me doing this quite a bit, dodging near enemies. So now the question is, where is it useful? Well, everywhere, to be honest. Pretty much I've used this, like I said earlier on in the beginning of the video, I've used it everywhere. And I just sort of wanted to touch on this as well with regards to unstoppable champions. Because of your Tripmine and your knife both scorching, more often than not you will get a lot of ignitions, which is obviously great for unstoppable champions. So the Ember of Singeing, your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. You can proc that with other things as well. Anything that applies Scorch, Prometheus Lens, Skyburner's Earth, or even weapons with Incandescent, that is all going to proc that Ember of Singeing as well. I just wanted to get that in there. So you'll see here my class ability, and as I'm doing Scorch with my Prometheus Lens, it is going to start coming back a lot quicker. So therefore you're going to get more knives if you dodge near the enemies. So it all works pretty nicely together. If you wanted to fit something like Prometheus Lens or Skyburner's, Polaris Lance, or anything with Incandescent, it's all going to fit nicely. On top of all the ability energy that you're dealing as well to proc that Ember of Singeing and get your Tripmine energy back, it all works, like I said, really nicely together. So where's good to use it? Again, like pretty much anywhere, to be honest. I've used it in master raids. The Tripmines herself do good damage against single targets and they're extremely useful as an extra. And then sometimes what you can do is just anticipate where the enemy's going to be, like so. Bang, 3 of them Scions out of there. So a lot of it is down to where you place your Tripmines, obviously. But once you know the spawns of certain areas, like for example in this raid now, You know them enemies are going to try and run away to the back out of the way to be awkward. You know the enemies are going to spawn there, so just get one of your trip mines banged on that column there. Another one's coming out that door in a second. I know this because I've done this raid quite a few times. I know where they're going to spawn, and look at that, they're instantly dead. So just general sort of play with them for anticipating enemies spawn. It's a really good option, and because you know you're confident with your trip mine is going to be able to kill whatever enemies come out of that door, you can look around, focus on other enemies, help your teammates out. You know that trip mine's going to do the job for you, so you can, like I said, get back on with your team and help them clear enemies. I found the whole build over the last 3 or 4 seasons extremely useful. And now the DPS part of the young Ahamkara spine and the build. You can add this to your existing setup, get all that extra trip mine, all your knife damage and all your super damage on top of whatever else you're using. I personally like to run a lasting impression rocket launcher or a wither horde, something that does damages over time, or does like a delayed detonation, so you can proc your trip mines with all that class ability damage that we've already discussed while you're waiting for your lasting impression or your wither horde to go off. And it's just a nice little added bonus, extra damage, boosts your damage up by quite a decent amount as well. You're up to 7 or 8 trip mines, maybe even more in certain DPS phases as an extra. While we're on the subject of DPS, this fragment here is another one that I run, Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. And then I also run this one on the artifact. Solar Surge, collecting a fire sprite gives you an armor charge. So whenever you scorch something, you do that again with your trip mine, with your scorch weapon, or with your knife. You're going to collect them fire sprites and you're going to get loads and loads of armor charges for your surges on your legs. Like I said, I run solar weapon surges, but anything you want nowadays. It's not like Font of Might of last season. You can run arc if you want, but 3 of them is 22%. So the whole sort of setup and the build does give you a big boost to your damage in every type of situation. Now, one more thing, or a couple more things just to sort of mention, which could be beneficial to a build. Weapons with Demolitionist or weapons with Adrenaline Junkie and Wellspring are obviously going to help the part of the build where you're just using it for like general stuff. So Demolitionist, Adrenaline Junkie, Wellspring are perks to consider. And that is the video, the whole video. What I always do in the videos that I make is I leave everything playing out at the end. I preview the build via the class ability loadouts on the Destiny, so you see everything playing out like so. I do this in all my builds, and I will also leave a dim link in the video description. Thanks for watching, have a great day.